Hey, welcome back everyone. In our last part, we have Rasen convincing Rudia that he's really there to help after getting himself stuck in a sticky situation, winning against the challenge his older sister Persia had set for him, and being able to overcome the gift that he had received from her. We left off our last part with Rudia offering Rasen to become his pact maker of fire. The Pact of Fire was something Cassine and Rudia had made at the Grand Nortandi Canyon. This was a pact Fire King can only make once in their lifetime because it was a commitment to devote their entire life down to their very last spark, a commitment of life. If Rasen forms the Pact of Fire with Rudia here now, the contents of the original story will drastically change forever. With this, he can prevent Cassine's powerful ally to effectively disappear from this world and would instead be granted this powerful ally. Rasen hesitates for a moment, but comes to the conclusion that his life is in danger until he hits the age of 17. He has to survive. And so he tells her that if she truly wants to, she can. Without hesitation, Rudia starts to chant much like an oath to a marriage ceremony, but as she starts to swear the oath of a lifetime, Rasen receives a notification saying that the world's setting price is now being shown. Those who make the Pact of Fire obtain the authority over Berserker Rage. This was something Rudia did on occasion, being simple-minded. If she gets angry, she may go berserk, but the catch is that those with authority over Berserker Rage will have the authority to control the mana of the Pact Maker of Fire while they go berserk. The side effect, if he messes up, is the subcontractor's death, meaning Rudia will die. Realizing the potential risk of death, he stops Rudia, but she's confused. Why won't you make the pact? This is something good. But Rasen tells her that it's not good and for her to explain to him why it's good, but she can only say that her dad said it was incredibly good and really couldn't think of any other reason. Trying to help her connect the dots, he explains to her that if you become the pact maker of fire, you'll have to sacrifice your entire life to me. But she thinks that sacrifice is a good thing. It's cool. But Rasen is still worried, because what if he can't stop her? What if he can't control her? She will die. But Rudia explains to him that this was an honor of the Firekin to be able to sacrifice themselves, but Rasen still doesn't want to be responsible for her death. This was scary to Rasen because of how innocent and carefree she was. Rasen eventually manages to reject her offering, claiming the responsibility for him was too great, and she agrees to wait, canceling the Pact of Fire. As they cancel the pact, Rudia claims that Rasen is a good person because her dad said so. While the pact must always be performed sacredly, the contractor must also be chosen carefully. Her father had told her that if she had made a pact, she could be used as a tool, but if there was someone who rejected the pact for a legitimate reason, they would be a good and trustworthy person, and never let that person go. While back in Rasen's room, Rudia is double fisting Rasen's chocolates, and he asks her for the good stuff. Rasen is convinced that this definitely should be the Chalice of Fire, the relic closest to the Firekin, which should be hidden within the Dragon Mountain range near High Run, at a small stone grave that can be only activated by the Firekin. Rudia confirms that the good stuff is near their neighborhood, and it's ultra amazing, but when asked what it's called, she doesn't know. All she knows is that it's a good cup. How simple-minded. The Chalice of Fire is something that can make a flaming water once every 100 years, and that water has the power of purification. The quick version is that you can't die of poison or be controlled by mind magic, you can't even get a stomach ache, or so it's recorded. Putting on his coat, he goes to leave for the Chalice, but is stopped by Hera asking if she should request for the Protectors, the Tiger Order. It was a standard for the Maiden clan to always bring an entourage of magician bodyguards, called Protectors, when they go outside. No one was an exception, even him. Even though Rasen wants a magician to go with him, it would be hard for him to find an excuse, as the Protectors would be sticking to him 24/7, so there's no way he could hide the Chalice, and worst of all, each of the Protectors is backed by his other siblings, making it hard for this information not to be leaked. But Rasen had decided. He would choose the Protector Magician Japel, someone who's on very bad terms with Rasen. This was a person Rasen had humiliated and degraded. What was he doing? Protectors are all great magicians who have at least achieved 7 circles. When Hera asks what she should write for the reason of his departure, he tells her to write that he's going out to play and some stuff about chocolates. Later that day, we see a man walking towards the Maple Annex. This was the Maiden clan's protector, Japel. As Japel nears the mansion, he's greeted by Rasen with a smile, but he's already annoyed. Right away, Japel notices that Rasen had changed a lot since the last time they had met, but still asks him why Rasen had picked him as his protector, since he was just a house guard dog. He clearly remembers the previous incident. Instead of apologizing, Rasen instigates by saying that he has to guard the master as well, since you are a house guard dog. This gets to Japel, but he mentions that he would be the most trustworthy person and didn't feel like he would backstab him. But when Japel asks Rasen if he trusted him, he says that he doesn't, which confuses him. Even though he doesn't trust Japel as a person, he does trust him as a protector. Because he understands that Japel is extremely greedy and ambitious, he will ally himself with anyone as long as they share the same interests. In the story he had wrote, Japel was initially loyal to the 4th young master Sauron, but changes his allegiance to the 2nd young lady Avelia. No one knows at this time, but Rasen hits Japel with this information, and with this information on the table, he tells Japel to protect him, and he agrees. Interestingly, after he agreed, he decides to look into how capable Rasen really was, as he had heard rumors that he had beat up the 6th young master and created a perfect first circle without having any magic tutors. But what was most surprising was that even though that there was only one circle, you could feel the 2nd circle mage's power coming from it, thinking even the 2nd young lady would be unable to maintain that much mana within the first circle. The 3 immediately set off to High Run, getting there in no time. The Firekin living in High Run used to possess enough strength to dominate the continent in ancient times, but they have declined in power as their god Phoenix exhausted its divine power. Now it just looks like a simple, remote village in the countryside. As soon as they enter the village, Rudia screams for her father at the top of her lungs. Noticing the voice, Hampton immediately comes running and apologizing that he was unaware of Rasen's arrival. When Hampton tells Rudia that her father is at home, she immediately runs off, leaving Hampton to chase after her. Rudia and her father are reunited and thank Rasen for everything, but Japel thinks that something is strange. The worst bastard is kind? What does Rudia mean by the favor? Now that he thinks about it, the villagers were all extremely kind to the one that's supposed to be known as the worst. When and what did he do behind everyone's back? But before they could get settled, Rudia pulls Rasen, telling him to follow because she'll give him a gift, only to arrive at a small grave in the woods. As Rudia starts to chant, the rock pile starts to glow and move, revealing the golden chalice. On the form, it had said that he was going out to play and eat chocolates. Japel had been deceived. He could feel the fire energy mixing with the golden chalice and a strange mana flowing from the cup. Rasen, using his divine eye, receives a set of notifications saying that more settings have been discovered and incomplete plausibility is being updated. But more importantly, the information about the chalice saying that if a non-contractor of the Fire King drinks the water, it will lead to an eventual death. Rasen has to accept the Pact of Fire in order to drink this flaming water, but has no time to think because as time passes, the water will become less effective. Can he control the extremely simple-minded Rudia by himself? Rasen thinks that he won't get another opportunity like this, and so he asks Rudia to do the Pact of Fire, and that they don't have much time. Rudia wastes no time completing the ritual, and the notification from the Fire Chalice changes, recognizing the newly formed pact. The worn-out cup recovers. Going out to play and eat chocolates? What a lie! He's sure of it now. The information about the 7th young master was altered. But the pact is now complete. A variable affecting the story had occurred, and the heat that he had felt earlier had disappeared. And as the chalice had witnessed the pact, it had upgraded itself. Without a moment's hesitation, Rasen grabs the cup and drinks it. Right away, his body starts to utilize the easy mana cultivation to control the heat from the flaming water. He tells Japel that he trusts his safety to him. Japel is shocked at the level of trust. Even a small impact during the cultivation can cause serious problems, and the seventh should be aware of this. But he is a man that will repay trust with trust. The water he had drank was making scratches inside of his heart, and Rasen utilizes his self-regeneration. After a while, he is able to control the pure flaming water and successfully absorbed into his body, but could not finish reading the description because of the lack of mana. When Rasen had finished, the day was already over. Rudia asleep by his side, and Japel still keeping watch. He thanks Japel for protecting him, and in return, he congratulates him. Japel mentions that the area they're in is the entrance to the Dragon Mountain range, and a powerful mana can be felt from halfway up the mountain approaching their location without concealing themselves. Whoever is approaching is letting them know about their presence. It seems like the powerful mana from the chalice attracted them. Wondering if it was really powerful enough for a 7th Circle magician to describe as powerful, Rasen asks if he recognizes them, and Japel responds that if his instincts are correct, they are swordsmen and will be making contact with him anytime soon. Swordsman and magician tend to compete and not get along well in this world. Unfortunately, he can't run away, because if he does run, he will get purged by his own father instead. Plus, he has a very strong magician by his side. There's no reason to run. And there they are. Quickly activating his divine eye with little mana he's recovered, he notices that he's come face to face with a real protagonist of this world, the genius among geniuses. The overpowered protagonist, Cassine. Why is he here? Thank you all for stopping by. If you liked the content, please like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.